Jeff Sessions, this is mind-boggling. I mean, this is the extent to which these guys go. We're talking about this whole privatization agenda. The government shouldn't do it. It should be the private health insurance companies that are doing it. It should be the private, fill in the blanks. It should be the private prisons that are doing it. It should be the private fire departments. It should be the private school. It's all about somebody should make a buck off it, right? And Senator Jeff Sessions has, I think Progress is calling it, launched the most dishonest attack against Obamacare you've ever heard. I'm going to play just a little tiny clip of this. You can take this out of my computer, right, Shano? Here we go.
The new government report dramatically proves that the promises made assuring the nation that the largest new entitlement program in history since Medicare, the president's health care program, would not add a dime to the long or short-term debt of America was false.
This morning. It proves it was false. Well, actually, this new government report, Jeff Sessions went to the Government Accountability Office, Government Accounting Office, and the GAO and said, would you please prepare a report that summarizes what would happen if Obamacare goes fully into effect, but the cost containment part of Obamacare is actually it's called the Independent Payment Advisory Board. The Independent Payment Advisory Board, which basically makes sure that the health insurance companies, since Obamacare is based in private corporate health insurance, right, for-profit health insurance, the Independent Advisory Board oversees this to make sure they don't rip us off. What would happen if you got rid of that board? Please tell me. And so the GAO says, okay, here's the math. If you get rid of the board, it's going to cost more. And then Jeff Sessions goes on the floor of the Senate and says, I have in my hands a government report proving Obamacare is going to cost more. I mean, these are the kind of lies. There's no other way to call it. Lies and deceptions that these right-wingers are promulgating. Why? So that the people who own them, and make no mistake about it, Jeff Sessions is owned. The people who own these politicians can make more money. It's all about the money. $400 million coming out of the hard rights dark money ATM is what Media Matters is referring to it as. You can see this over at MediaMatters.org. Donors Trust and Donors Capital Fund, they write. The affiliated funding groups were until recently obscure entities, but over the last month, a series of reports have detailed how these organizations have paid out more than $400 million to over 1,000 conservative groups since their 1998 founding. One of those is called Stossel in the Classroom. Founded with Koch money as the Libertarian, this is from CIT, has taken this thing over, which is the Philadelphia-based Center for Independent Thought, CIT, right. Funded with Koch money as the Libertarian Review Foundation in the 70s, real estate developer Howard Rich took control of the organization in 1990, gave it its current name. He also founded Americans for Limited Government, sits on the board at Cato, the Club for Growth, Friedman Center for Educational Choice, and his wife runs CIT. So what is John? So what these guys are doing basically is they're producing videos that go into schools. They're running contests where you can be one of the students who win one of 225 cash prizes totaling $23,000, which doesn't sound like a whole lot of money in the whole grand scheme of things. But when you're talking about 10-year-olds, you know, earning a $100 prize, a $300 prize, earning an all-expenses-paid trip to New York City to be on John Stossel's show, this is big stuff. And here he is. Here's John Stossel on his, and this is from one of the videos that goes into the classrooms. At least, if assuming that I'm reading this Media Matters report correctly, you will find it on their, you'll find this clip on their page over at MediaMatters.org. In this article titled, How the Right's Dark Money ATM Spent $1 Million on Stossel Educational Materials. Here he is shilling for the carbon industry, for the big oil industry, the big coal industry, and the fracking and gas industry, who are devastating our planet via global warming by producing carbon dioxide emissions. And here's John Stossel saying, global warming? Hey, it's still being debated. We don't know the science. Come on. Well, actually, you can listen for yourself. Here he is.
Some scientists say the warming may be caused by changes in the sun, or ocean currents, or changes in cloud cover, or other things we don't understand. The debate is not over. And anyway, who's to say that yesterday's temperature was the perfect one?
Some scientists say, huh, how about that? Some scientists are wondering if, several things come to mind, but probably not good to say on the radio about John Stossel. So I'll just leave it at that. The point is that there's a reason why these billionaires are funding Stossel. There's a reason why they're funding all this libertarian stuff. There's a reason why, we're going to be doing CPAC shortly, the Conservative Political Action Conference. And when you watch those pictures of CPAC and you see the media coverage, one of the things you have to know is that some very large percentage, the vast majority, I don't know if it's 70, 80, 90%, but some very large percentage of the people who are there are these well-scrubbed, attractive young people. People in their late teens, early 20s in particular, mid-20s, early 30s in some cases. But, the average age, I've done CPAC for 6 years now, I think, in a row. The average age seems to be around 20, 22, something like that. A lot of young people. And I remember the first couple of years I was there just marveling, saying, wow, I wish, you go to these progressive events and you see a bunch of baby boomers, a bunch of people in their 50s and 60s and 40s, maybe, and young people, the Occupy people, but, where is the large, but there they are at CPAC. Well, it turns out that the billionaires fund, young Republicans for freedom and young Republicans groups and this Republican group and that Republican group and this conservative group and libertarian groups all over the country. And they have contests, and you too can win a week in Washington, D.C., all expenses paid, and go to the CPAC conference. In other words, they're packing the room. Been doing it for years. Never reported in the press. Why are they doing this? Because if they can get us to think that government is bad, that what George Washington fought and died for, this republic right here, the United States of America, if they can get people to think that our small r Republican form of government is a bad thing, that it can't do things right, then the commons can be privatized and they can make a buck off it. And just look at the classic example, just look at what's happening with the private prisons. These private prisons are hellholes. You look at some of the reports on these things, the abusive situation, but they're profitable. Sure, you can run it for less than the public prison runs for. But how do you do that? Well, you pay Walmart wages. You hire people with no job security, no pension, and no accountability. Have incredible turnover. Bad, lousy food. No concept. I mean, what's the whole purpose of a prison? It's not just to punish people; it's to rehabilitate people. It's to get people functional so that they can go back into society. Well, why would a private prison give a rat's patootie about that? You can't make a buck doing that. In fact, if anything, if you can turn out people, if when they leave prison they're more likely to come back into prison, if you can have an increased recidivism rate, you make more money. It's all about the money. This is so fundamentally anti-American. Libertarianism, at its core, is anathema to the values upon which this republic was founded. Read the preamble to the Constitution. It's very, very straightforward. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice. This is here they are. They're laying out the commons. Establish justice. Ensure domestic tranquility. Now, let's make it work. Provide for the common defense. Promote the general welfare, and welfare is capitalized. And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Very straightforward. But if you can get people to believe that, oh, you know, this is nonsense, you know, it's Joe McCarthy told us we don't live in a democracy, we live in a republic, because it sounds more like Republican. Democracy sounds like Democratic. Actually, it's both. You know, it's constitutionally limited, representative democratic republic. You can get people to believe in this stuff.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And you can just take these suckers down the road and convince them the government can't do anything right and create even more opportunities for Enron.